Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about how to get the number of significant digits for mean and standard deviation. Let's understand this concept by first looking at the mock shell of the tables in one of the study. So right now I'm showing you an example of the demographics table where we are displaying the mean and standard deviation statistics for age. Here in this study, in this mock shell, it is shown that for mean, you have to display one decimal value as well, and for SD, which is the standard deviation, you have to display one decimal value. However, if we see the same table in another study, you will see that in this mock shell, for this study, for the same table, which is this demographics tables, and for age statistics, mean and SD are having different decimal value information here. In this study, they want us to display one decimal for mean and two decimal for SD. So now first question arises is that how we are going to judge that whether we have to display one decimal value or two decimal value for any statistical category. So now this information comes from SAP. Let's see an example of one of the SAP. Here I'm showing you one of the SAP here, and here you can see that it is clearly mentioned that for PK concentration data, in this study, they want that mean, minimum, maximum, and median should have a three significant digit value. Whereas for SD, which is the standard deviation, they want to display four significant digit value. Similarly, if I go and check on another study SAP, here in this study, they want us the value of mean and standard deviation to have only one decimal value, whereas for SD, they want us to have two additional decimal value. So when they say additional or three or four, what they want to say is that the collected value in the raw data or in your AVAL, ORRES information, how many decimal values are there in that particular test CD or param CD. The maximum of that decimal value should be considered while identifying whether we have to add +1 or +2 to get the decimal values for mean or SD. So let's see this through an example in the study. So right now I will be reading my ADVS dataset, and I'm reading on only the param CD equals to height data. So let's read this first and see what we are getting. Here you can see that for different subjects for height param CD, the AVAL value can have either two decimal value or a one decimal value and a zero decimal value also. So now if I want to display the mean or the standard deviation for height param CD, how will I know that I have to use zero decimal value, one decimal value, or two decimal value for mean and SD? Taking a scenario that in my SAP, they mentioned that I have to use one more decimal place than the data for mean and two decimal place than the data for SD. If that is mentioned in my SAP, that means that when I have to display the mean for height, I have to consider what is the maximum decimal value places is being displayed in my AVAL here +1. So how will I get to know that? How will I programmatically get the maximum decimal places value for param CD height? So to achieve that, what I have done is I'm reading the param CD equals to height from my ADVS dataset, and I'm creating an variable which I have named as DEC, short form for decimal. And what I am doing is I am applying the length n function on this aval character. So how I will achieve it? First, I will have to convert the aval to a character format. As you all know that aval is a numeric variable, I have to convert it into character variable format. And From there, I have to read only the digits which are coming after the dot, which is dot is decimal. So I have applied a scan on this. So let's see what does that mean. If I read this value after converting it into character format, it will be 147.32. So if I apply a scan on this, that it should read after the decimal value. When I say after, that means the modifier will be the two value will be the modifier, which means that after decimal value, after the decimal point, it should read the value. So where after applying the scan on this character value, it will become as 32. And after applying the scan, when I apply the lengthen function on this, what it will be doing is that it will read how many character values is the resultant value. When I say it will be 32, which means 3 is one character, 2 is one character. So in total, it will be two characters. So lengthen will read only the character values which are present. In case we do not have a decimal value record, for example, here. And when I'm converting it to this numeric value to character value, and then I'm applying the scan function to read the character values after the dot sign, there will be no values for that. So this will result in a blank blank value for the character value. So in that case, when I apply the lengthen function, it will read as 0. Let me show you by creating new variables where I'm applying these functions individually. So here I'm creating the char variable, which will be the character value of eval, and the cut variable, which will have the values after the decimal value, after the decimal dot sign. So let's see what these values will be. Here you can see that when the numeric variable eval is getting converted to character variable, which is the char variable here, although the value is exactly same, just the data type will be different. So here you can see that the char is having a data type of uh, character, whereas eval is having a data type of numeric. So I have achieved the first step, which is converting the numeric value to a character format. Then after applying the scan, because I want to read only the number of digits after the decimal value here. So I have applied the scan here that it should read after the dot sign. So since I want to read after, I have used the modifier value as 2. We can also use the modifier value as -1. That means that it will read from -1 will read from right to left. Normally, by default, when you apply a scan, it will read from left to right. Since in that scenario, since I want to read the values after the dot sign, I have mentioned the value of 2. So after applying the scan, I can see that in my current in my cut variable, I am getting the value which is coming after the dot sign. So as you can see, I'm having that value. And in case of the record where I have no decimal value, I have the cut variable as missing. So now I know that these are the values which are in the decimal places in the actual value. So now I want to read how many decimal values these counts come out to be. So after getting this cut value, I'm applying the lengthen function. It will read the number of digits in this cut variable, and it will pass that value to the decimal variable which I am creating here. Another point to note here is that in case where the cut variable is having a missing value, the DC variable is having the number as 0. If you would have used the length function instead of lengthen function, in that scenario, for the case where we do not have any decimal value, the count would have come as 1, which would have been a wrong value to in this scenario. So make sure that while counting the decimal places, you use the lengthen function and not the length function. So now what we have is that in this data, we know that for each value of a-val, how many decimal values are there for height param CD. So now the next step is to get the maximum value of this variable decimal. So to achieve that, I have applied the max function on my DEC decimal variable, and I have created a variable by the name of max in my max underscore DEC dataset. So here, if you see, when I run this code, I am getting that the max decimal value in the a-val is of 2 length. So now in this way, I know that for height param CD, the maximum decimal places are 2. So if I want to display the mean and SD for my study, I can accordingly modify the decimal significant digits for mean and SD. Let me know in comments if you want to cover any specific topic in the next video. Thanks for watching.